Hello again. This one's gonna be another dating, another talking, flash dating. Advice, kind of just personal thoughts video. So after 8 months, who says so in 2024, 2025? Who says so? After 8 months, looks don't matter. So when you're dating, no, sorry, not dating. When you know someone and you've been familiar with them enough for 8 months, if you end up dating, your looks don't matter at that point, and so you're more likely to end up dating. But I more wanted to frame it not like you're more likely to. I wanted to frame it more as looks just don't matter after 8 months of knowing someone, of being familiar with them, of hanging out with them. Now, you could see this as using it to your advantage, but it's also something like used to your detriment. I don't know if it really be a detriment to you, but I don't prioritize looks. I say that, but I think deep down, everyone prioritizes looks. Even girls. You look at I don't know, crazy rich guy and the really attractive guy, and she's gonna choose the crazy attractive guy almost all the time, considering the rich guy is ugly. That's just how it is. But for guys, it's even stronger. Women put a lot of value in their looks, and it makes sense. I mean, guys put a lot of value in their status in how they're portrayed. I want to drive around in a Bentley and have a really nice Rolex and show that I'm wealthy, show that I can acquire wealth, and that I'm a suitable mate to provide for my family. And meanwhile, girls are just saying, or mainly just focusing on, in terms of evolution, they're mainly focusing on their reproductive value, their fecundity, being able to produce offspring. Okay, but yeah, that was just an interesting stat that I wanted to push out. I wanted to mention. So okay, and from this stat actually, there's some things you know. So I watched this I watched this reel, this Instagram reel, where this guy was McKen Mac King, Mackenzie King, something like that. He's basically this PhD student evolutionary psychologist, and he was talking about how girls, no, sorry, relationships. What am I getting at? Yeah, this 8 month period where it doesn't matter anymore. And what you learn from that is you can't really assess how attractive you are based off of a relationship like that. But it turns out you can assess your attractiveness, your physical attractiveness, based off of your exes. And why did I even say and? I didn't want to say anything after that. Cool. Very interesting. So from that, I've assessed that I am around like, actually, I shouldn't say. I probably shouldn't say. I always thought that I'm a very optimistic person, and I'm also very, how do I put it? Arrogant, but in a positive way. I will hype myself up to do things that maybe I wouldn't normally be able to do, but I want to be able to achieve things. Now, I won't do it to an astronomical extent. I do put in reality, but for the most part, I'd say I'm more optimistic than pessimistic in terms of projections of my goals, of what I'm able to do, even in the current moment. Okay, with that being said, I would say that I considered myself I consider myself an 8 and in terms of physical attractiveness. And I know that's probably not true. And if I'm being more conservative, I'd probably say 7. I think realistically we'll say 7, but I want to be as optimistic as possible, and I think my peak, the best I can possibly look, is an 8. And my hair's just not it today, so that's why I'm not an 8 right now. But honestly, I think this, and I think it's good to have this mentality of just being a little more confident than you would be if you were completely realistic. I mean, you can always be like, realism is always going to be a little pessimistic. There's always, and this applies not just to yourself, but just in general to the world. There's always going to be something bad happening, but you can't put all your energy in that, in the bad, in the negative, and you just have to, living with positivity, living with optimism is great. It's a much better path than living with pessimism. And people look for that too. When, I mean, even considering if you're looking for a date, you're looking for someone to start a relationship with. Consider a girl with all the same values. Consider 2 girls. Each are exactly the same. Looks, everything. But one of them's more pessimistic and one of them's more optimistic. You're obviously going to go for the one that's more optimistic. It's not even a question. And the other thing too is it's something like the way she looks too. So when you see her, she's going to be looking really sad and distraught and just like she's going to suck the life out of you because because it's like she just, I don't know how to describe it. She just ruins the mood and frowning all the time. And you see guys like this as well. Guys walking around that are like incredibly serious. And I don't think it's intentional, but putting that optimism first and being a little more conscious of trying to be more optimistic so that you don't come across as too serious or too pessimistic, it does something. It definitely changes how people initially see you. And it's just a good thing to have, good thing to follow through with. So what I tend to do is, if I ever think about this, I'll try to smile. And so even when I'm walking about and I realize, oh, I look really serious, like I'm having an awful day today, but it's just my resting face, I will attempt to just smile. And then I'll think about funny things. I'll think about things that will make me laugh, like reels or things that happened in the past that made me really, really laugh. And then I'll have a genuinely happy face and be smiling and genuinely enjoy myself. It's also been shown that if you smile, you change your mood. And similarly, I'm guessing, I'm extrapolating, but I don't know if this is necessarily true, but if you frown, what would that do to you, right? That would be detrimental. That'd just be awful. So just smile. There's no downside really. And plus, you're strengthening your cheeks, you're strengthening your mouth, your lips, using all those muscles to become even stronger. So it's a workout. It's a workout of sorts. Okay. If you're talking with a girl, you'll know if you like her after 8, it might be 7 hours of hanging out. So I read this in the game, and I've realized this is actually really true because you don't really know any, and you can kind of fake this by going to a bunch of different events. So in the game, what they would do is they originally met at the bar, and then they'd say, let's go to the coffee shop, or not the coffee shop, the diner to get some food. And then after the diner, let's go walk outside. Let's go to the park and walk outside. And then after that, they'll do something else. And it'll seem like so much time has passed by when in reality, it's actually just been 2 hours max. Kind of faking that, but that's manipulative. What I'm saying is genuinely 7 hours, 7 to 8 hours of just hanging out with someone, talking with them, and getting to know them, being way more familiar with them. You have a genuinely good understanding of who they are, and you'll be able to determine much better than when you originally first met them if if they are compatible for you. I struggle with this because, well, without knowing this, I used to struggle with this. I think I'm a bit too loud, so I'm going to change that. As I was saying, though, I struggled with this beforehand. Okay, yeah, so this. I used to struggle with this, and I didn't really know much of this. But now I realize, like, the way that I struggled with it was I didn't know whether I really liked her or whether it was just lust, we'll say, or just needing to be in a relationship. That was really difficult for me because I felt really alone. I used to feel really alone. And I still do sometimes, especially when I'm not in a relationship or getting over a relationship. But as I said, yeah, after 7 hours, you generally know. But also, I would say trust your gut. If you go into a date and you feel like this just isn't working, like I don't know for sure if it's not working, but let's go on another date just to see if it's not working. Probably isn't working, man. Like if you really have to ask that, if it went really well, you wouldn't ask. You'd be like, wow, this is going really well. I'm suspicious of how good this is going. That could be a question of that you would have, but genuinely, why do I keep on? You wouldn't have that question. Just trust your gut. And that goes with ending a relationship too. If you have the gut feeling that this is just not working out, I'll keep on trying to make this work, but it's just not working out. Is this working? Probably isn't. But you also have to look at it from a different perspective too. You can't just cop out and say, well, she didn't make me dinner today, so I'm going to break up with her. It has to be realistic. And I've said this before, that's where friends come in and you ask their objective opinion on it. Well, subjective opinion on it, but a more objective opinion since you're so flustered with emotions and connected with this person. Yeah, so if you don't know, if you genuinely don't know, then hang out for 7 or 8 hours. And the thing is, too, you can accept that you can just be friends. So a lot of the time, if it doesn't end up working out as a relationship, you could see yourself as being friends just because you wanted to go on the relationship in the first place. There was something that attracted to you. Assuming it's not purely physical, there's something that seemed like she was cool. So you would hang out with her. But you just don't know if it's really romantic enough. If there is that romanticism. That is even a word. Yeah, your exes determine how attractive you are. That's all I want to say. Guys rather mate. Okay, so guys rather have any mate than no mate, but girls rather have no mate than just any mate. So interesting approach. And you see this. So this was what I saw in the reel. What Mackenzie King. I'll have to get his actual name. It's not Mackenzie King. It's Mackenzie King is like the Prime Minister of Canada or something. Used to be a Prime Minister. Former Prime Minister of Canada, I'm pretty sure. But this guy, the PhD student, blonde haired, Harry Potter glasses guy, he he was saying that studies back this up where women were even happier. There were cases where they were even happier than those who did have a partner, but men were always happier when they had a partner. So it wasn't too clear with women whether a partner a significant made a positive or a negative difference. But for men it is very clear. Mating is beneficial to them. And now I'm thinking, you see all these studies saying that it's better to be in a relationship. It's equal like smoking a cigarette or something. I can't remember exactly the stat, but it's something like being lonely has the same health effect as smoking a cigarette a day, or we'll say like 3 a week. The, my point is just it is harmful. It's actually physiologically harmful for you, which is unfortunate, but true. And now, okay, so guys rather have a mate than no mate, but I would say for the guys watching, be careful of this. You can't just accept anyone, and you'll learn the hard way if you have to. Just because there is a mate doesn't mean it is a good mate. Just because you can be in a relationship with someone doesn't mean you should be. It's those are the toughest situations to answer, and I can't really give you general advice on it other than you'll know if you like her after 8 hours. It's tough. I think that's all I wanted to. Okay, I think. Okay, no, I'm not done yet. So I would say also, when you're dating, be completely honest. Don't hide things about you and don't try to hide things about you or be roundabout, be obscure. If she asks you a question, I forget the term for this, but it's something like lying without outright lying. So if somebody asks you if you have a gun in your car and you say, "No, I don't have a gun," but you actually had, I don't know, a knife or something. So, well, technically you didn't have a gun and they didn't ask you if you had any weapons. Or maybe something more general, like just saying things to circumvent the truth. That's something you should want to avoid for a date. You want to be as transparent as you can to determine whether both of you are a good fit. And sure, if you hide some things, if you lie about something and say like, "Hey, I'm actually a really pro-choice," when you're not pro-choice, obviously that's going to cause conflicts if she is pro-choice. And if she's not pro-choice, then it's also going to cause conflicts. If she's neutral on the opinion, then it doesn't matter so much, but it matters that you lied in the first place, that you lied so that she would approve of you. So you have to just, and that's also a condition of being alpha male, we'll say. Just forging your own path, saying your honest opinions, being yourself, and if she wants to accept me, that's fine. If she doesn't, then that's fine too. I'm okay with that. I'm just forging my own path. I'm going ahead with it whether you want, and you can come along if you'd like. Okay, so I also wrote down a date that I went on. Probably, I think it was Wednesday. No, wait, today's Wednesday. It was Tuesday, Friday? Yeah, Friday and Tuesday. But I think I've already said too much. I don't think I want to talk about that. And I'm already at 21 minutes. That's how it be.